In this review, I'm going to be looking at the Strike Industries Ultimate Selector Switch package. There's 10 pieces total in this, and it carries a part number of, I believe it's SI space AR-USS-90. Or actually, it's just AR-USS-90. And what this is this is an ambidextrous selector switch that allows you to customize the arms on the switch on the left side and the right side. So that's why it comes with 10 pieces, because you have all these different arm extensions that you can add on here. So depending upon if you've got small hands and you want a long selector, or you've got really big hands so you want a really small selector, or if you want a skinny one, a fat one, if you want a nub on it. Strike Industries gives you a lot of options here that you can custom tailor your selector lever. And this is probably very beneficial to left-handed shooters, because a lot of the ambidextrous selectors I've seen, they are more or less kind of tailored towards the right-handed shooter. So left-handed shooters don't get a lot of choices for their primary selector lever option. So I think this is going to give left-handed shooters a lot more flexibility to custom tailor their selector lever. So I'll read what Strike Industries has to say about their little kit here. This kit lets you completely customize the way you run your AR. You now have the ability to run your AR selector in the standard or ambidextrous configuration for fast and easy operation. The Precision Machine safety bar is made out of heat-treated steel. The selector switches are made from impact-resistant nylon reinforced polymer. The kit comes with 10 interchangeable polymer switches, ranging from long to short throw switches with many different profiles. This gives you endless possibilities in how you can set up and run your AR. Mounting hardware is included. Now they also have some caveats there. They say, not intended for use in extreme cold environments. The plastic will become weak. Stop use if you notice moving parts or plastic wear. And also, only use your finger to use selector switch. Our selector switch is not made for hard impact. So I guess, flipping between fire and safe, you don't want to be using a hammer. That's what that sounds like to me. Anyway, you can see their little packaging here kind of has a Magpul flare to it, with the brown and black on it. It is a type of hang tag designed for retail sales. This one is in black. Back of the package. Let's see, features: extremely lightweight, 10 different switch options made of nylon reinforced polymer, completely customizable, patent pending, extended push switch. Let's see, it says groove inside fluting for high visibility print. Does that open up the possibility of color fill? Maybe so. Round edges for comfort and smooth manipulation. So we've got left, right, ambi, 3-in-1. And what's the warning down here? Injury, death, or damage for misuse, illegal use, blah, blah, blah. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so now this kit costs, now this isn't inexpensive, this costs about $35. So, in that price range, you can get yourself a nice ambidextrous metal selector switch. Obviously, you would have to live with the length of the ambidextrous metal one. Those aren't interchangeable. But that is something to keep in mind, that this isn't a $10 kit. This runs about $35, give or take. I just picked this up from a local distributor. I had not seen one of these before, so I'm actually not sure if this is a new product or if this has been around for a while, but I've not seen this particular item and thought it looked interesting, figured I'd pick one up and see how well it functions. Alright, so package, blah 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 with the talking. Let's see what's inside the package. Okay, let's get that out of the way. So we have a couple of plastic bags, and I believe everything's in frame, hopefully. A couple of bolts, nuts. Let's see if I can adjust the camera just a bit better. Alright, so here's our metal selector lever assembly. This is the part that's going to go into your lower receiver. And you can see these items they have a channel in them, and then of course there's a hole that the screws go into. And again, like anything else that uses screws like this, I would highly recommend that once you kind of get everything finalized, you know, your selector levels chosen and such, put a little dab of blue Loctite on these bolts before you put them in and tighten them down. That way they won't loosen up on you. This appears to have a nice finish to it. It looks like a nitride finish, but it could be phosphate. It kind of feels like a nitride finish. It's very well machined from what I can see. The finish is nice. There's no machining marks on it. Not that that would make any difference once it's inside of your firearm. You can see the notch areas there for the detent pin. These bolts. Trying to read what they say. It's pretty YFS 012.9, whatever that means. Probably some sort of a rating for the steel of the bolts. Okay, so far so good. Let's take a look at all of the included parts. A cornucopia of selections. Alright. Throw them around a little bit, that always helps. Since we looked at the bolts and the selector assembly, what do we got here? Well, there are 10, and these are made out of some sort of nylon. Now this particular one is kind of got some ridging on it right there, which is good. Your fingers won't be slipping off of this. This long one here has got also the same type of ribbing. They seem to be fairly well made plastic material. What kind of plastic? I don't know. So that's kind of got a couple of long ones there. And the bottoms of these are notched also. So the notching will fit right into the channel that's cut into the selector shaft itself, and then the bolt runs through there. So you're not relying on just the bolt to hold this in place. With that notching on the bottom, these aren't going to spin loose on you. Okay, so we got a couple long ones. We've got a little, that's not even really a selector lever. That's just if you wanted to run left or right-handed. You didn't want to do an ambidextrous, that's an option. See, we look at that one. This one has got, this one's got a tab on it. And we got some kids screaming outside my shop here, so you can ignore that. That one's got a little nub on it. And this one looks like this one. Just appears to be a little bit shorter. Here's another one that has a nub on it, and the nub appears to be in a different spot compared to this one. And some really short selector levers. You see a lot of ambidextrous metal levers where one side is really long and then one side is short. So I guess this replicates that. These look to be roughly, those are the same size, which I assume would allow you to run two shorties on the left and the right side of the receiver. And then we have a short one with a little nub on it right there. So that's what we have in the kit. Sorry I'm taking this off camera, just kind of looking at it up close. Yeah, it's really hard to say what kind of plastic this is. I couldn't find any specific information about what kind of plastic this is. They just talk about polymer or reinforced polymer. That doesn't really say a whole lot. Is it reinforced with metal? Is it reinforced with fiberglass? Hard to say. Anyway, I do have a partially assembled Anderson lower here that does not have a selector lever installed just yet. So what I'm going to do is kind of put this together with the switch here, and then we'll install a few of these and kind of see how well they work. So I'm going to go ahead and install this off camera, and we'll come back and then we'll look at installing some of these actual levers. Okay, I wasn't going to cover the actual selector assembly installation. If you don't know how to do that, I've got numerous other videos on my my YouTube channel that discuss how to build out lower receivers. And the installation of this is no different than anything else. Basically, you need to insert this. There's a detent that drops into place, and then the spring that's held into place by the pistol grip, and that's why I put the pistol grip on. And so that's more or less what you get on both sides. So now you've got to figure out what kind of selector lever that you want to install. And I'm not exactly sure which one I'm going to like. I kind of like these ones with the little nubs on it. And I can see that one. Take this off camera for just a second. Just kind of playing around with this. I have not done any type of experimentation yet. It's a pretty big selector lever. Decisions. Well, I kind of like these ones with these nubs on it, so let me start with these real quick. Don't want to make this too extremely boring while I sit here and decide which levers I want to run. Okay, I think I'm going to put this one on with where the nub's kind of in the middle. I'm going to install this one first, and that just requires us to fit it in place and then insert the bolt. And of course the kit doesn't come with an Allen wrench, so you'll have to find an Allen wrench. I can't tell you what size this is because this particular Allen wrench is not labeled. So we're just going to get the lever in place and insert our bolt and tighten it down. I'm not going too crazy with the not going too crazy here, just kind of playing around with this, seeing if I like the way that looks. And I'm not sure, but that's one of them installed. Didn't want to bore you with all my experimentations with different levers. I put this one on here, which is basically the same size and shape as a stock Selector lever. This is again an Anderson manufacturing lever, but most of these are all pretty much the same. So it's the same length and width. I did try the one with the little nub on it, which I thought might work good, but I don't know. I've got to play around with it a little bit and see. Of course, that was the lever on the other side that fell off because I didn't bolt it down. And I don't normally run ambidextrous Selector levers because I don't. I use my thumb and I'm right-handed, so I was just kind of experimenting. Like, here's a little shorty. That's what the little shorty one would look like. And you could put, you know, if you really wanted a long one on here, you could go with the long one, like so. I'm not sure I like the long one. But let's just say I want the shorty, which I had. And I'll just put the shorty on there, and we'll drop in our bolt. And the Allen key. And there we go. So notice it's a bit tight, and that could be because I don't have any oil on this particular Selector assembly, but it does feel a bit tighter than what was in the gun. And some oil should take care of that. Of course, this is a brand new build. And I'm trying to manipulate this. I just don't. I don't normally run ambidextrous because I don't use my index finger for anything but for the trigger and, of course, the magazine release. So I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to run on the other side just yet. It's an interesting kit. It does take some getting used to. I almost feel that this polymer is going to break. I'm sure it's not going to break. I'm sure this has been tested pretty thoroughly. So I'm just used to metal ones. I do like the flexibility of this, being able to custom tailor the different parts, and at $35. I'd feel better if this was around $25, but I don't mind paying the extra money if I know that these pieces are very well made and they're not going to break on me. I'd hate to be going from a safe to a fire condition and have one of these snap off. That would be quite disconcerting. But other than that, I'm going to give this a shot. I'll play around with this when I get this rifle built and see how well it works out. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this review of the Strike Industries Ultimate Selector Switch Kit, and that'll do it.